Welcome to a sunrise in Tuscany. This is quite the magical place for sunrises. I really wanted to bring the Giulia down here because it just fits into the scenery so perfect. It is just magical here. Not to mention the food, of course. The food is out of this world. So when you combine a nice sunrise like this, beautiful location, good food, amazing car, all in the same area, you're set for quite a nice day. Let's go for a nice drive on some Tuscany back roads to start off the morning. That was already, as you saw, extremely nice. What a way to wake up with that sunrise here. Spectacular. I love these small Italian villages. This morning, I have zero plan where I'm driving. I'm just going to drive. And so far, just driving here, sometimes I've gone out for a simple evening drive with no plan, not looking at the maps, and I've just had so much fun. There are so many nice back roads here. And as I'm very close to 10,000 kilometers now, already in the first 2 months, I thought it would be a good time to talk about living with the Giulia Quadrifoglio. By the time I leave here, I would have done 10,000 kilometers. And I can tell you it's been 10,000 kilometers of sheer joy. As you can see, the roads here in Italy are a bit bumpy, potholes here and there. That's one downside to driving in Italy, is the roads. Most of them are quite bad. You get some smooth sections like this where they've redone the road. I mean, look at this. Wow, look at this road. But I know it's going to run out quite soon. You get these small patches where they've redone the road and normally lasts for around 60 seconds if you're lucky. Now, after 10,000 kilometers, I have very few negative sort of small things that annoy me to say about this car. At the moment, I can only think of 2 things that have kind of bugged me with this car. It's just a bit awkward getting in and out of this car. It took me quite some time to get used to. It is more difficult getting in and out of this car than my GT3 RS. First of all, the door frame is very small, which looks great, but you also sit quite far back, especially if you're tall like me. You sit here behind the pillar. So getting in and out can sometimes just be a little bit awkward. Not too bad, but you know, if I'm trying to find something, that would be one small detail. Next small thing for me personally is the boot and kind of the awkward space that is back here. So first of all, the entry to the boot, this area here, the actual hole is very small. Now, originally when I got this car, I had imagined that I could fold down the rear seats and put my mountain bike in the back with just removing the front wheel. But the rear space here, first of all, the entry is just so small. Now, secondly, when you look inside here, you also then notice this fixed metal parcel shelf. I think it's also part of the rear seats, including a 6x9 speaker, which blocks a lot of the space. So apart from that, which is not much, and that's, you know, kind of nitpicking, I absolutely love this car, and any long-term subscribers of my channel will know that's a genuine love. The Giulia Quadrifoglio was one of the first, actually I think it was the first exciting, cool press car that I ever received as a YouTuber. So it's also quite nostalgic for me driving a Giulia. I did my first ever road trip down south of France. I drove the Giulia Quadrifoglio from Alfa Romeo, Switzerland, down to Monaco. The video is still on my channel. Probably a terrible video because, well, I just started YouTube and I was struggling to talk to the camera and just feel comfortable in myself. It was such a big moment to me and I just fell in love with that car then. But the crazy thing is, I still love this car now as much as I did then. The only downside being is it's a bit quieter now. Back then it was so loud because there was no regulations with these OPF filters and noise, for example. It was such a loud car stock, and it still is quite loud, don't get me wrong. It sounds extremely nice, as you can hear. If I slow down a bit, let's do an acceleration. That V6 sounds superb, and I'm not a V6 fan in general actually, but this V6 is something of its own class. Some highlights for me about driving this car. First of all, the looks. It's such a stunning car and it sparks so many interesting conversations, and for me personally, that's important when owning a car. It's what community is behind that brand and that car. And the Alfa Romeo community are super cool people, and everyone just loves talking to each other and sharing the passion. This brings so many smiles, especially down here in Italy. And it's a very sneaky car. You can get away with joining any car event in the Giulia. I don't know how. You could go to a supercar meetup with this. You could park this next to a LaFerrari at a supercar event and nobody would blink an eyelid. It wouldn't look out of place. At the same time, you could join a classic car event with this and nobody would say anything. And as I said, nearly 10,000 kilometers in 2 months. So the majority of that has been, you know, daily driving, just normal driving. And when I put it in quiet mode and automatic, it really is just that. Quiet, simple, relaxing to drive. God. And then when you put it into dynamic mode, switch it into manual. It is seriously so much fun. Quite a handful. You do need to take care. If I was to put it into full race mode like this now, suspension goes into extremely hard, but now this means I have no electronics. And now I can feel the back moving around. So when I'm going flat in dynamic mode, you can feel it restricting the power, because otherwise the back is just going to slide out. So when you put it into race mode and everything switches off, you definitely need to take care. There's enough stories out there of people that have ended up into walls in these because, well, they've put it into race mode and thought they could just simply put their foot flat down, and you just can't in this. Well, you can at the right place at the right time and with an understanding how to really control a car. I definitely want to take this to a track, to put it into race mode and learn how to control the car when the back comes out. So that's something I want to do actually next month. I'm looking into that. So on the first video I made with this car, there were quite some comments about reliability, and you know, everyone thinks when you have an Italian car it's going to break down, and yes, that is often the case with certain brands and cars, but none with the Giulia Quadrifoglio. I didn't read one bad comment from anyone that's had a Giulia Quadrifoglio. So 10,000 kilometers, I have had 0 issues. There's not been a moment where it's kicked up an issue. I've not had to stop and reset the car like a computer. It has not failed me once. It feels like a really well-built car. Gear changes are so much fun with these paddles, the way it explodes on the gear changes. So this is interesting. I seem to have joined the back end of an Italian classic car rally. In front of me, Alfa Romeo 75. Quite fitting that I end up behind that retro car. It looks fantastic. Oh, just got away from a Stelvio lady. I was late to wave back, apologies to her. Let's put it into race mode because I'm getting more confident with the car now with 10,000 kilometers. Let's try. Okay, that's quite a different feeling in race mode. What a nice surprise and end to today's video, following this classic car group through back streets in Tuscany up to this village that I think is called Torretta di Siena. It's the Giulia amongst everything. As I said, does not look out of place. 4.2 litre from Roma, absolutely beautiful. I always fancied myself an old Jag. There's something very bad boy, mafia, old school about this car and about Jags in general. I think they look so mean, but also stunning from the front. I really love myself an old Jag. Did not expect to see an old Jag with Roma plates on. Very cool. Lots of Fiat 500s. Something that I saw last night in the village that I'm staying at the moment. Integrale. One of my favorite cars, classic cars that is, and just looks fantastic in white with the white rally wheels. The driver, of course, is called Giuseppe and Antonio. It could not be more typical. I love that they just leave the windows open around here. Actually, he's left the radio on as well. Got the radio playing still in there. Nice old Golf. I'm a big fan of an old Golf. Actually always wanted an older Golf GTI. Another nice Golf GTI there. Look at that. I think they look so cool in black. You know, when I was growing up, I'm a 90s kid, so this was cars like this were the dream for me back then. If you had a car like this when I was, you know, 17, 18, you were the king of your neighborhood. Okay, now we're talking. Rover 16 valve, something I definitely did not expect to see here. This also growing up, I really, at one point, really wanted one of these. Around when I was 18 years old, having a Rover 16 valve was something quite special, and a Rover is not something you get to see every day. And you know what? I still love it. If I could have multiple cars, I would definitely have something like this at home as well. Ferrari 208 Turbo from Roma. I don't know much about Ferraris. Big, nice manual, gated gearbox. Sure, it's a lot of fun to drive. Alberti. Maybe that's the name of the company, or just the name, or maybe it actually suits the name of a truck, Alberti. I love also they have a vintage breakdown recovery truck with them. This appears to be the name of the group that I've joined, La Pace. M3 here also. This was a very old gentleman driving this, and it looks like he's done a couple of modifications as well. Down here he's got his semi-slicks on. I'm not kidding, I think he looked a good 80 or 90 years old jumping out of this. And then I noticed he's running semi-slicks, not messing around. I do love a nice E36, and that is exactly that. What a nice example, super clean. Just search the town just so I have some idea where I am. And apparently the most important event here is not the car event that stops here, but it is the Palio di Samari. Probably said that. No, I definitely said that completely wrong. A race among donkeys. So that's something I would be interested to come back and see. A donkey race. What a beautiful place there. Currently says 35 degrees Celsius. I think I'm going to end today's video now. Need to get home. Lots more videos to come with my Giulia Quadrifoglio over the next couple of months. As I said, I'm loving so far every single minute with it. But off I go, time to cool down. I shall see you all again very soon.